Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I have yet another movie review for you all, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is a sci-fi horror film from Germany, German language English subs, released in the year 2010, directed by Juan Vu, and this film is called Color Out of Space. So Color Out of Space is about a man who's looking for his father. He's in the USA, so he goes to Germany in order to find out what happened to him. He meets this person that tells him a story that surrounds a meteorite strike that was near his father's community. So this community are experiencing very, very strange occurrences since this meteorite hit, and he's going to learn a terrifying truth about everything. So what happens at that point on is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I am going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Color Out of Space. This is a movie that's not to be confused with the Nicolas Cage film of the exact same title, and both of these movies are based on the H.P. Lovecraft novel. So if you are a fan of that novel, this movie is definitely going to intrigue you. Now the Nicolas Cage film, a lot of people didn't like that movie, but I actually loved it. It's actually one of my favourite sci-fi films, and so I haven't actually read the story of Color Out of Space, but I really like the idea. And so coming into a German version of this film that actually came before the Nicolas Cage movie, I thought to myself, what does this have to offer? Hopefully it was going to be something a little bit different. And after watching this movie, that's exactly what this movie was. It is completely different from the Nicolas Cage film, although it does take basically the same sort of story. It's told in a very different way. Now what I liked about this movie was that it was a throwback to 1950s sci-fi horror. So if you are a fan of that era of sci-fi, then you're definitely going to get something out of this movie. The black and white visuals I thought were really, really well done, and you could trick yourself into thinking that this was a movie from the 50s and that it is a love letter to classic horror films. And so that's something that I appreciated the most, is that I'm not a massive fan of those movies in the 1950s, but I could see that this director was, and it was playing to that effect, and I thought as though it really nailed it. This is a movie that's not very gory at all, and so the gory version of the Nicolas Cage is a much more modern style, where this movie is, as I said, of yesteryear, where it was all about the mood, and I thought the mood was really executed very, very well from start to finish. The tone was very consistent. I thought the meteorite strike, it was very mysterious. What was going on, I thought, was very creepy, and it's all through what you hear. It's all through the dialogue, and it's all through the sound effects. It's not necessarily what you see. So the dark mood of the black and white really plays into its favour. It's a very foreboding mood that the movie creates, and I thought, alright, well, this goes for 80 minutes, and I really enjoyed it. It's not a great film, but I just thought to myself, yes, there needs to be more movies that pay homage to the films that clearly inspire it. And so if you are a fan of the H.P. Lovecraft novel and you want a different take, this is a movie that is definitely very, very different. So I appreciate the Nicolas Cage version not just copying this one, and I really like the fact that it takes the same story but it's told in two very different ways. So the movie has a lot of flashbacks, and I thought the flashbacks never really sidetracked the overall movie. The flashbacks are better than the actual present day, but a lot of these movies, it fails to really juggle that flashback sort of style in a way that this actual movie actually does. So it had a very solid base, and I thought to myself it was actually very, very impressive. It is lower budget, but the low budget really plays to that effect of the 1950s, and so it really works in its favour. And there are some moments at the end that I thought were actually thought-provoking and very, very creepy. If I have issues with this movie, the CGI was a little bit out of place. But I can understand, you know, the CGI could be that charming love letter to the 1950s, but it was a little bit silly. And I thought to myself that it wasn't as scary as I would have liked. Although it's very creepy and unnerving, it just doesn't really get that scare that the Nicolas Cage version did. But again, this is a different take, and I could appreciate what this director was trying. So the movies of the 1950s and 60s, if you are a fan of that, I highly recommend you check out Color Out of Space, the 2010 German version. Both versions are absolutely fantastic, but this movie, although it's not as good as the Nicolas Cage film, I still thought as though it definitely had its place among the sci-fi horror films. So if it sounds like your cup of tea, go out there and see it. I'm going to give this film 3 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.